is a very practical mitzvah. Bottom of page 1048. Top of page 1050. I'm sorry, second line on 1050. Lo kli gever al isha. A man's, how does the article translate it? A male garb should not be on a woman. V'lo yilbash gever simlas isha. A man should not wear a woman's dress or a woman's clothing. Ki toavas Hashem elokecha kol ha'ila. It is an abomination. For a man to run around in a woman's dress or a woman to run around in a man's clothing is an abomination. Now, why, first of all, before anything else, I mean, tell me it's not nice. Tell me it's inappropriate. Why is it an abomination? Why is it an abomination? So the commentaries explain before the answer, like when the Jews always answer a question with a question, right? The answer to any question is, if the Torah says, why is it? You have to ask yourself, well, why would somebody do it that the Torah tells you not to do? The Torah doesn't say, don't bang your head against the wall, because nobody was going to bang. But if it says, don't cross-dress, so you have to answer, well, the Torah says don't, that means people do. Why do people do it that the Torah has to tell me not to? And the first answer is basically for immorality. Because when men dress like women, women dress like men. Bruce Jenner notwithstanding. So then you're what do you call it? I was recently nauseated. So then you're everybody was. I hope I was ready to cry. I mean, he was a hero. This guy was the one that went limping to decathlon. Guy had an operation. I was absolutely revolted. I can't believe it. So a man to wear, if they're doing this cross-dressing, is generally for purposes of immorality. A man wants to infiltrate a girls' school. He wants to be in a girls' dormitory. A girl wants to be in a boys' dormitory. Who knows what they're doing? Who knows what Mishigas the world's up to? You don't need any. You know better than I do. All you got to do is spend a few minutes on a college campus. So I'll get to you one second. So the Torah says, number one, it's an abomination. Number one, it's an abomination. Number two, the Torah says, let's see what's included in this prohibition. Yeah, go ahead.
What about Purim?
Purim is not appropriate. The poskim say, the one thing, and I will not let my kids, even my kids do it from the youngest age, I will not let them cross-dress, do anything you want. There are enough other costumes. You could dress up like an astronaut, you could be Haman's horse, you could be anything. You don't have to dress up like a woman, and especially when guys dress up like girls and become very unsneous looking. Guys dress up like provocative girls. That's totally and utterly inappropriate. You can put on, sometimes parents put on a little boy, they put on the mother's shaitel to see what a 2-year-old look like. I will not allow it now. And I'm not very stringent about halacha. I'm pretty lenient about the, as long as they're keeping the letter of the law, I'm pretty lenient. That's not an area to tamper. Kabbalistically, it could affect his neshama. Kabbalistic. So we'll talk about it's called a kilt. We'll talk about a kilt. Not a quilt. Not a quilt. It's called a kilt. A kilt, the Scots wear a kilt, which looks like a skirt. It's not a skirt, it's actually a wrap around it. It's a big, long piece of material that wraps around. It was originated in the Scottish army, who were furious warriors. And I actually had a guy here from England who once got married. And I walked into the chasna, his friends' relatives came over from England. And I walked into the wedding hall, and at first I looked up, I thought I was on the wrong side of the mechitza, because I saw a bunch of skirts. Right, I saw a bunch of green and white plaid skirts, so I thought I was on the wrong side of a chitza. But then I took a second look, and it turned out it was his family members. And this is considered fancy dress in Scotland. And he actually put the men wear this wraparound thing, and he actually put they put the full dress. You put a dagger in the sock. That's like you wear a tie clip is the finish on a tie. They put a dagger. There's like a pearl. I think it's a pearl dagger or something that they put in the sock because that was a weapon that was worn. That's the fancy. Okay, so a kilt. Probably in a country like Israel, to walk around, for a man to walk around in a kilt would at least be inappropriate and possibly a transgression, because in this country, societally, it's not done. And if you walk around in Mea Shearim with it, you might get killed, right? So it's certainly not advisable. It's certainly not advisable. Now, what's limited here is that a man is not allowed to wear, make use of, or do anything that is unique to a woman. I'll explain in a second. Let me give you a couple of minutes for questions. A woman, likewise, cannot do the same for a man. So, for example, a man is not allowed to shave any bodily hair other than the hair on his face and on his head. A man is not allowed to go shaving his underarms or his chest or his legs or anything else, because that is something that is unique to women. So besides the shaving prohibition of the face that we're not allowed to shave with a razor, not allowed to shave any bodily hair, because that is unique to a woman. Hold all the questions for a few minutes. A man is not allowed to walk around with something that is uniquely designed for a woman. For example, a purse. Right? Not that you would be friends with anybody who would, but in case you have this Yetzer Hara to walk around with a purse, right? You're not allowed to walk. A man's not allowed to walk around with a purse. A woman. Right, right. I'm not friends with satchel people either, right? Yeah. So when a man here. Let's take something innocuous like an umbrella. An umbrella, men or women are. For a man to take an umbrella that's got little red heart, little pink hearts on the umbrella, that sort of thing, would be inappropriate because generally it's designed for a woman. The same thing with clothing. Something like men's buttons are on which side are our buttons on? On the right side. Women's buttons are on the left side. And therefore a man to wear a garment that has the buttons on the left side, according to poskim, is prohibited because that is a garment that is designed specifically for women. Now, if you have, for the women, a woman is not allowed to carry a weapon because a weapon is a man's implement. So a woman's not supposed to carry a gun. Now, if she's living in a really bad neighborhood, she needs it for a life-threatening situation, she could carry a gun or a handgun or something like that. But for one of the problems, one of the problems for a woman just to be in the army is that she's walking around with a gun that is considered a man's implement. So much so, if you remember the biblical story of Yael who killed Sisera. Sisera ran away from the battlefront, and Yael enticed him into the tent. And it says she fed him cheese, which made him thirsty, and she gave him wine to drink, and he fell asleep. And she killed him by taking a tent peg and putting it right through, driving it through his temple. So the Talmud explains, and why did she use a tent peg? Why didn't she just use they had blades and swords much more efficient than tent pegs. She had because the sword or knives or whatever it is are a man's weapon. They're designed for a man. So she took a tent peg, which is not used normally by a man as a day-to-day weapon, and therefore she used this tent peg to put through his skull. That's what the halacha says. Anything unique to women, anything that is designed for women, a man would not allowed to be involved in. And anything that's unique to men, a woman would not be involved. Please.
Okay. Back then, women didn't wear jeans and pants, so that evolved, and now.
This gets tricky about even the jeans and pants and that sort of thing. So first of all, from women don't wear pants, first of all, pants are not considered tznius because it gives too much of an outline of the body. Number one. Number two, even those who might, let's say, a nurse who wears the nurse's pants. Some nurses wear what are they called? Scrubs, but right. So then it would have to be specifically designed for a woman. Those things that are permissible are only permissible if they're designed for a woman. Just to grab, to put on for a woman to put on a man's blazer just because she's cold outside. She puts on her husband's blazer. That's not acceptable. Now, when you get to something like winter coats, sometimes winter coats look all the same. Again, these are individual calls depending on the specific situation. If men wear parkas and women wear parkas and they're designed exactly the same, so that's considered neutral. But anything else which is unique to women, one is not allowed to do. As a matter of fact, you know that there's a halacha, a man is not supposed to preen himself in a mirror. There are posts you're not supposed to be looking at yourself in a mirror, preening yourself in a mirror, like taking care. You can look in a mirror, according to most posts. You can look in a mirror to make sure there's nothing unsightly about you. There's nothing on or near your face which doesn't belong there. That you're allowed to do. But to sit there admiring yourself and gazing at yourself in the mirror, that is considered woman-like behavior. You see that women have what's called a vanity kit. They shamelessly call it a vanity kit, which is something that opens with, it's got about it looks like a hexagon, and they can look at themselves from every angle that even scientific instruments could not pick up, and they'll do it in front of 12 other people. A woman will walk by. Rarely could a woman walk past the mirror. If there's a mirror, a woman's going to stop and check herself in. Hey lady, it's the same you as it's been for the last 50 years. Yeah, but she's going to check in the mirror. For a man, if you've ever looked at yourself in the mirror, one day you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're pretty happy with the work that Hashem did, and you're admiring yourself in the mirror, and then all of a sudden your roommate walks in. All of a sudden you're like, oh, you're pretending yourself. Why? Because a man feels it's not what I should be doing. It's uncomfortable for a man to be caught What, you got such an ego? You're looking in the mirror? You're not supposed to be looking at what are y'all? You and your what's it called, a satchel? No, what are you looking in the mirror for? A woman looks in the mirror to understand. I can't, I had to take the mirror. I got a mirror in my hallway near where my study. And I've got daughters. I got to move that mirror because they're always congregating by the mirror with their friends. Hey guys, go down the hall. Will you put it up somewhere else? Because that's natural for us. So man's not. So for us nowadays, because in our society it's acceptable to wash your face and look in a mirror. In the old days where you didn't have mirrors mass produced, so if you had a piece of glass and you could stain the back of the glass that gives a reflection, you gave that to a woman. Because if you already have one, give it. Women need it. Men don't need it. So in our day and age, you have mirrors, so you can look in a mirror to make sure that there's nothing inappropriate there. But to sit there and admire yourself is not contacts or any practical need. Some people have a mirror in their tefillin bag. So there were certain poskim that say you don't even look at your tefillin in a mirror. Rav Elyashiv had Rav Elyashiv held you don't. Rav Moshe had a mirror in his bag. So there are different poskim, all different. But so you can take out there. A lot of men have a mirror and you just check to make sure. But if you're checking your tefillin and also it's like. That is utterly inappropriate. That's not what's supposed to happen, right? And it's not what do you call it? It's not show and tell. Yeah.
What about or even pretty more like you see actors that put on makeup?
So if you're acting and you put on makeup for the sake of acting, that's a very good question. I haven't got an answer for you. One would have to ask. For example, let's say it's something that's not necessarily. Let's say you're a competitive swimmer. Competitive swimmers now in the Olympics, they shave off all body hair because that increases their speed by about 1,000th of a second. And when you're competing at that level, you're playing for thousandths. Could you shave your body? I don't know that you're allowed to. The halacha says that you're not allowed to. It's a prohibition. And the fact that you want to, the halacha says you're not allowed to transgress any prohibition for the sake of money. You might not be allowed to do so. You understand? We're talking about a serious Torah prohibition.